How are we going, everybody? Well, we came back yesterday here and found a bit of a mess in the garden. Rightly so, because, oh Leia, come on, here you go. Because I've been away for so long and a lot of plants have wilted away. But these beds here, this one here in particular, this one here I prepared, one of the more recent preparations I've done on it, and you can see the eggplant's doing well. I've already just planted this out. I got my beetroot in here, I've got lettuce as well, some carrots, more lettuce and spinach on that side. And around the back here, a few more lettuce plants, so not a huge variety. I think there's 4 varieties plus the eggplant. That's 5, but no flowers. And ideally, it's important to plant some flowers, and I know I've got some flowers because my son came home with a couple of punnets of chrysanthemums, and he goes, here you go, plant these in the garden, because he knows I need some flowers to accompany my veggies. Now, here what I've done is basically opened a hole and planted in between the mulch. I haven't needed to top this one up because this was done, I don't know, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and it's still quite active, the soil, so straight into the soil as it is, a hydration, and this one should be fine for the next 2 to 3 months and give me a chance to get some leafy greens growing out of it. But we have to top this up along the journey, because from here onwards it'll start to deplete in its nutrient uptake or availability in the soil, and if you let it dry out for too long, definitely kill the microbes. So we're going to keep adding a little bit more to this, and you're going to you probably ask me and say, well, what do you need to top it up if your soil's so good? It's just re-energizing. It's just like an extra little kick of energy, of nutrients, if you like. It's like a vitamin B boost or a bit of a drink as you have normal meals, and then you eat something in between. That's what we're doing with this. So we feed these every 3 months heavily, so we top them up with our compost and planting, but in between we do a top up every month, and that's what we're going to show you how to do on the other side down there, because this bed's fine. Let's go and check out the other one that needs a bit more attention. You know, these beds here with the Moluccas, which have withered away because of dehydration and bad, environmental changes in the weather, hot, cold. This is our coriander, and I am going to take, this is actually, no, it's a mixture here. We've got coriander. I'm not sure if you guys recognize the difference between coriander and rocket. Coriander seeds, like that, as you can see there, and then down here, if I can get to it, this is our rocket seeds. I crack it open, see the difference? So we've got the rocket seeds, which are in a pod, and they come out like that, little black, almost like cracked pepper, but small. Well, that looks like cracked pepper, the coriander, but the brown colour of it. So each one of these will become a plant of their own right, and we've got thousands of them on this plant here. Now, what I like to do with these is obviously let them go to seed on the plant. I don't worry about bagging. You should, if you like, if you don't want it to spread everywhere. For me, I'm not concerned too much about that. The more the merrier, I suppose. You can put a paper bag over the top, bunch this up, but not at this stage like this. It's a bit difficult to do it here, because you'll find a lot of these seeds, as you grab it, because they've dehydrated, will just completely fall off and they'll go everywhere. For me, not a big deal. You put a paper bag over it, get them to fall inside, shake it, hang it upside down, or what I'm doing here is cutting it to the ground carefully, take it away on the bench, collect the seeds, store them, and then come outside and just throw them everywhere. Depends on how many I want to plant. I'm going to put this aside for now and have a look at this tomato. Now, I cleaned some of the leaves off it, most of the leaves. Green tomatoes, if they don't ripen on here, well, we're just going to have green pickled tomatoes. I've been cleaning around the base, and what I need to also stress is about birds, because being away for so long, birds are starting to get into some nice routines here, early morning, midday and afternoon. The blackbirds, rosellas, corellas, not corellas, rosellas mainly that I've seen here. What they do is they dig holes, divots like this over here. See that little hole down there? Now that's happening everywhere. Along the corners, you can see they dug a little bit here. What you need to do is ruffle around, but not just the mulch, actually the soil as well, because they mound it up in certain areas and you start getting these high points and these little holes where the water can run off. So if it dehydrates a little bit too long, you're watering on the high surface and it all runs down to the lower section because of the little hole they dug with their beak. So ruffle the mulch and the soil so that it's leveled out evenly throughout, so that when you hydrate, it'll just sink in evenly. So that's this bed here. And when it comes to lettuce, like this, now, as I've been doing earlier and spoken about it earlier, I let them go to seed, but I had a look around the place. This is cos lettuce, and I've got plenty of cos lettuce that's doing exactly the same. And I don't think I want any more cos sprouting up in this bed at the moment. So what we're going to do is just cut these down to the ground like this. Now, they've got a lot more energy in them, meaning because they're still pushing on their flowers and waiting for it to go to full seed. And by cutting them down like this, just above the ground level, it can go either way. It can either sprout up again and bolt, because it'll go straight to seed from the stress and freaking out moment that it's gone through, or it'll just rot away and give up. And by rotting away, what happens there is you'd find that the microbes in the soil will start to feed off that. It decays away. It becomes a food source. So either you'll get some flowers again, which you can just cut off straight away, or just cut it to the ground and leave it in the ground. Don't bother digging it up. No need to, because it will rot away eventually, and it's not an invasive root system to be too concerned about. So cut your lettuce down like this if they've bolted. It's a nice simple way to clean up the garden, and all of a sudden we've created a space here where we can come back and plant some more veggies. Now here's another spot of a low spot where it's been dug. Look at that. That's all just been dug out like that. I've just moved the mulch away to show you how low it is, and here's the soil up here. Got to push it back in. So you can do it with the mulch on top if you can sort of level it off evenly, or move the mulch out of the way, level the soil, and then dress the mulch over the top again. And these potatoes, oh, here we go. We've got potatoes growing in here. I keep getting rid of them, and there's always another one that appears. Right, let's get them out. Look, we may as well just harvest. Volunteers. Well, potatoes will always appear on their own. Any more? What's that? Oh, that's a lettuce. Oh, I'll just pull that one out. All right, only 3 potatoes. I guarantee there's more. No, there are more. So much foliage up here. Look how dry it is. Look, it's turned to sand on the surface. Unbelievable. More potatoes. More potatoes. Bloody hell. This is not even my potato patch. Look at this. I haven't even moved. That's what happens. You find these little ones, if you miss them, I should say, they'll start to grow. Wait, we haven't finished. Maybe I should use a trowel, eh? Got some seedlings from our local garden centre. Got to support them, you know. I'd like to grow my own seeds, but I'm too busy to sow a few seeds and walk away and then come back and water them every day. So I haven't had a chance this year, so I'm getting some of our seedlings from our local garden centre. Now what I'm going to do here is mixed planting. So I've done in the past where I've put them all in rows, and I've also tried mixed companion planting radically. But over time you'll find that you'll start to see the shape of your plants, the way they perform, like the capsicums and the chilies. They actually hold their shape pretty well. You'll notice how big they grow, how much space they need, and you'll be able to better gauge the spacing, because sometimes we can overplant, and that really becomes an issue for the smaller, more, less vibrant plants that grow. So you imagine putting a lettuce next to a cabbage or a broccoli, and the cabbage or broccoli will grow about 50 or 60 centimetres in diameter. That's the sort of area it needs. And if you plant them closer than 30 or 40 centimetres apart, you're going to find that they're going to grow into each other, which is okay to some extent. But if the cabbage, like I did last year, that we had growing, they were massive. I mean, the heads were about 50 or 40 centimetres in diameter, like that. And then the foliage outside. So when I first planted them, it looked like they were really spaced far apart, and I was wasting a lot of garden space. But it wasn't long before they filled in. And now here, going by that method, and they don't need all day sun, I can stick one plant in this section here. Don't mind that little doll. One right here. That's one cabbage plant there. I'm thinking of putting something in here, but see, between the 2 capsicums, there's not a lot of room. Even though they're not going to continue growing, I can still put one over here and one over there as far as the lettuce is concerned. So I've still got room for them to grow and allow the lettuce to be able to develop a bit further. So a little plant there, and if these decide to continue growing, which I doubt, these were rescue plants as well, by the way. That's why they look really joined. But if they do continue to grow and we keep them year after year, we can plant on either side for a couple of little lettuces, if you like. So now, planting a cabbage over here. And on this side, I'm going to stick a cabbage, a broccoli, 2 broccolis, 2 cabbages. just spacing them apart, and in between I'm going to find something else to plant as well. This is the dark side of the same garden bed we were just looking at. It gets, well, the same amount of sunlight, but the shadow that's been cast over by the beans and the tomato plant. And I ruffled this, as I mentioned earlier, leveling off the soil to the best of my ability, you know, just using my fingers. But you can see all the mulch on the ground here. Have a look at all this. All this has been dug out by the birds. Yeah, I'd love to throw it back in the garden bed, but my chances and luck will be that I'll get a bit of cooch back in there, which is already in there, and I've got to try and reduce it from developing too fast. So I'm going to do a bit of a mixed plant in here. So far we've got a cabbage and broccoli, and in between, so just along the front edge, so these are going to be sitting back a little bit like that. So along the front, I'm just going to dot it with, well, I'd like to dot it in right next to it like that, but that's way too close to the cabbage. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put it right here in between the cabbage and the broccoli, but sticking out a bit, so zigzagging it. And the fact that these are Kyle's lettuce, they're going to mature a lot quicker, a lot sooner than the broccoli or the cabbage will. So we'll be able to harvest these before the plants get too big, the other plants get too big, that is. So we're putting a lettuce in there, one over here. We've still got some beans sitting around here. We can plant next to it because they're not going to do anything spectacular. So we can stick one just there. We've got one there, and well, we'll just let that do what it does, which is nothing. So, and I'm using a little wooden dibbler. You saw me earlier using my fingers, which is fine. I don't mind using my fingers, but some people don't. Put gloves on if you don't like touching your soil. But the dibbler's great because it's not, and I should express this a bit more in detail. It's not about just doing this and then taking it out, because what you've done there in essence is cause it to glaze over the wall on the inside, so it's gone firm on that side there, on the walls, because it's pushing the soil outwards as you're forcing it through, trying to create a cavity. You don't want to just do that, you want to loosen it up like this. See that? See how I'm breaking it up? Just a little bit of a crack in there, and that way you got it a little bit softer, easier to handle. Is that where I'm going to plant it? No, that was a demonstration, that's a bit close. I want it right here. So go like that, wiggle it around, lift, loosen it up. It doesn't have to be the perfect funnel, yeah, like that. And then, actually, this is a big root system, so we need it bigger than that. But make sure you loosen the walls of the soil when you dig a hole, and then press it back down firmly and push your mulch around and move on. And now what I'm doing is top dressing my garden bed. This is the monthly top dress, which is a light feed. You can see how light it is. I'm not covering up the entire mulch, but I'm just spreading it like this. Now, normally, I could use our superfood and black grit as it is. If you can't get that and you can get your hands on compost, that's a great one as well. But if you can get your hands on our planting mix, which is what I've got here, and soon to be in a labelled bag, folks, so it's going to have all the fancy pictures and writing on it that you want and be able to read and understand it. So it'll be done soon, and we'll announce that when it happens. The planting mix has got everything. It's got charcoal, it's got compost, cow manure, it's got worm casting, superfood, black grit. So as a top dress fertilizer, it's fantastic, and as a planting medium, it's even better. So a light dress like this all over, and straight after you've applied the mix over the top as a top dress, make sure you water it, because every little scoop of planting mix that you apply in the garden is packed full of good bacteria, microbes, you know, fungi and all them growing and populating, and you want to look after them. And if you don't water it, they will dehydrate and it will become dead. Basically, the soil, it'll turn to dirt. So you want to water it, whether you're using our planting mix or compost or even our superfood, folks. And that way you're regenerating your garden every month with love. You'll be able to find our planting mix on our website, vasilisgarden.com. And folks, yes, the Thebarton store, we're going to pop it up again for another 2 days in April. Check out the details on our website, vasilisgarden.com. And Easter special is on now. Use the coupon code word Easter to get yourself an extra 20% off everything online. Only for a few days. Take advantage of the specials. Click and collect everything you need, and go to your local garden centres as well. Support them. From me, Vasili, Maresi.